Well, I can certainly say I was shocked. I mean, it was 1 in the morning, so as shocked as someone who looked like they were about to pass out could be. I certainly wasn't expecting us to jump straight to Kalos for Legends ZA. Legends Zal? Legends Zaza, however you want to pronounce it. I'm excited. Not only for the Legends gameplay, which I'm just very fond of, but to see where they take an adventure set solely in a city. But also for the new forms and, well, to no one's surprise for a Kalos game, Megas. I'm going to do a form vid later down the line, maybe speculating what starters will be choosable, but for now, we're focusing on Megas. I'll be talking about what I think Legends ZA will be about as we do this video, so enjoy my take on some Megas that may show up in the game. Kalos was kind of disappointing, giving us all these amazing designs for Pokemon, but no Megas for any of them. I think this new game will rectify that, so I want to jump in by giving Megas to our starters, the Legends, and one other, which I want to start with because the idea is just a bit goofy. If I was Ernest and Yveltal, I'd be mad that they are the reason for Mega Evolution and these two bickering goobers got Mega Forms before them, but oh well. Right now I want to talk about a monument in Lumio City, the Prism Tower, a beautiful piece of architecture. Oh, Archaludon. Yeah, that's right, I'm making a Mega Archaludon. I feel like this is a given. Game Freak gives us a new Evo to Duraludon, a line that I guess is all about architecture. Building, bigger building, and bridge, so why not have a Mega based off the big tower that'll eventually show up in the game? So predictions or maybe just hopes. I hope this game is set in both the past and future, being some kind of Dark Chronicle or Dark Cloud 2 for non-Australians, where you go from past to future, placing things in the past to affect the Lumios of the future. It'd be kind of fun to have the future be, I don't know, destroyed Lumios or something, so you go back to the past to correct mistakes. I don't know how it'd work, but it would be cool to see the fruits of your labor in the past create a prosperous future. Maybe even creating special biomes for Pokemon in the past so they show up more in the future. I guess you'd probably say present, but ice types are really going to struggle here, huh? It's going to be interesting having a big city to explore instead of a whole region, especially how are they going to do ride Pokemon? So many questions. Anyway, a bit of rambles, but here's Mega Archaludon. Archaludon Mega, the alloy Pokemon, an electric and dragon type. Reacting to the Archaludite causes Archaludon to take this sudden Mega Evolution, a towering form that lights up as a bright beacon for all. Once during a battle in Kalos, a trainer Mega evolved their Archaludon. A certain person watching was taken aback by such a sight, and was inspired to create the main prism tower that sits in the middle of Lumio City. The lights on Mega Archaludon glow brightly when charged with electricity, becoming so bright it can blind opponents. Even if the electricity doesn't defeat their opponents, their massive heavy frame can crush anything in its way. While Mega Evolved, Archaludon has the ability Sturdy. Next, let's go to the starters of Kalos, 3 real banger designs in their own right. I love the fantasy tropes they play up, but it's a bit of a shame that only one of them got the actual limelight. Greninja is cool, but I'd say the most whatever of the 3. But that might be just because I'm sick of seeing the frog. Delphox is great, but was definitely a victim of certain crowds, and even Pokken decided to instead include Braixen, which was a real kick in the ear hair. And Chestnut, my poor boy Chestnut, got absolutely nothing. Even the dang anime Chespin didn't get there. At least the unofficial Pokemon fighting game Close Combat has Chestnut in it. Let's start with Delphox as our first Mega starter. My idea for Mega Delphox is quite simple. I wanted it to be more witchy and even have it sitting on a broomstick. The sort of wand becomes massive and allows Delphox to fly on it, giving it Levitate. And I chose Ghost type to replace the Psychic type just because I like the spooky vibes it was giving off. Although Fairy would have worked too if we went a little more magical girl with it. Delphox has always fallen short for its 3D model. I don't need to hop on about it, every YouTuber at this point has. But the design is still solid except the ear hair, but I get that it's going for making the silhouette of a witch's hat, which I wanted to play up by making it even bigger. We don't remove the flaws, we just enhance here. I hope that this next game has a bit of a city building aspect to it. The first Legends game was a bit of a town builder in a very weak sort of way, but I loved the way you could just bring Pokemon into the town and they'd show up and help with gardening and would be companions to other residents. So just imagine having a bunch of your Pokemon helping in Lumio City. I can see it now, people getting only shinies to put in the city. It's just going to be glorious. Mega Delphox, the Fox Pokemon, are Fire and Ghost type. Reacting to the Delphoxite causes Delphox to Mega Evolve, gaining the power of true flight and even more magical prowess. The branch they hold dear becomes much longer and capable to be used as a broomstick. Magical fire sprays from it, granting flight. The fire that it contains cannot be doused. Only Delphox is capable of controlling the flame. It has the power to control spirits of the dead to send them as attacks towards their foes. And it seems that this form has sparked a form of magic practice in the Kalos region. The focus is on speaking to the spirits of the departed. In this form, Delphox has the ability Levitate. Chestnut, one of my favorite starters. Grass Fighting isn't the best typing, but the entire line is great. Chespin, mwah. Quilladin, mwah. Chestnut, you get the mwah. But you know what this Chestnut needs? More armor. Let's kit out the Chestnut with so much armor is just a big old ball of tank. My biggest thing I'm thinking about with Legends are actually, well, there's two things. Is if this is set in a more modern or dare I say futuristic setting, will we be battling more? Arceus was about catching Pokemon due to the sparse unexplored land that was Hisui, so will trainers be more abundant here in the city? Or are people just so uninterested in battling at this point in the timeline of the games? Does this mean competitive battling will end up being part of the game as well, and will we see a new battle style? The Synchro Machine might be a prelude to something here as it allows space for competitive battling to stay. My second question is, what new forms and Evos are we getting? Arceus gave me my fave mon of all time in Hisui and Zoroark, so I can hope we get such quality going forward. Croissant Fido, Napoleon Piplup, nothing is off the table, and that makes me very excited. I just hope the Mega Evolutions don't take up the slots for new forms or something ridiculous like that. Typing for our Chestnut here, I went with Grass and Steel with Heatproof as the ability. Gives it the chance to throw battles on its head for not too much of a risk to fire types attacks as it could be. Mega Chestnut, the spiny armor Pokemon, is Steel and Grass type. Reacting to the Chestnut transforms Chestnut into a bastion of defense and pain. Their armor has only hardened and capable of blocking fire quite well. Each panel on the armor is also capable of growing sharp thorns, dissuading attackers. Both arms are now capable of creating thorny constructs, both shield-like and heavy spiked bludgeons. The armor of Chestnut seemed to have inspired the armor design of the Knights of Kalos. These designs had to be toned down to account for the sheer weight of Chestnut's armor, that no ordinary human would be capable of lugging around. Chestnut in this form has the ability Heatproof. Let's now cover God's favorite princess, Greninja. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I hate Ash Greninja. I like the idea of a Mega being more subtle in design, but this is just, ugh. Looks like a frog with hair. I don't hate Greninja, it's a fun design. At Smash Bros, Greninja was fun as hell to play, but yeah, I get mad when Pokemon get overshadowed for no real reason. All three of them are marketable, damn it. My idea for Mega Greninja was to play up the Frubbles, those funny little bubbles that show up more on the previous two Evos compared to Greninja, but do show up kinda in the elbows and knees. My first thought was to make it sort of cover its tongue as the new scarf, but it felt a little bit too close to Frogadier. Instead, like the others where it more plays up their fantasy race, I wanted to make it more ninja. This Greninja gets an overactive Frubble gland which sort of coalesces as a mass of bubbles coming off of him, looking a bit like some kind of Naruto shadow clone smoke clouds. And speaking on the shadow clones, these bubbles would have sort of a cloning ability, having Greninja's attacks more have him do hand signs, as bubble clones pop out and do attacks instead. Maybe Froakie for status attacks, Frogadier for physical, and Greninja for special. But the main idea here is Greninja doesn't do the work the clones can do for them. Get the water dark typing here, I couldn't think of anything more fitting. Mega Greninja, the ninja Pokemon, are water and dark type. Reacting to the Greninja, it transforms Greninja into a master of deception and infiltration, capable of controlling their Frubble in an exceptional manner. It will fully cover itself in Frubbles, and from this cloak various clones of Greninja will spew forth. It will also create clones of their previous two evolutions. By putting more energy into this skill, it can make the clones look exceptionally realistic. During battles, it will hide within the shadows of the clones, choosing whichever one will deceive the easiest and spring forth, slicing with shurikens and blades made of rushing water. Greninja has a new ability in this form called Frubble Armor, where it gives various boosts to attack and defense by calling upon Frubble clones. Next, let's jump to our Legends of the Game Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde. Some really great designs here that I didn't want to change too much. Let's start with Xerneas first, as it's my favourite of the three. Being our first Fairy-type Legendary and coming at a point in my life where I loved Deers, this was just right up my alley, and it still is. I wish that the lore of the Legendaries were a bit more of a focus in the original X and Y, and maybe Legends will do that. I wanted to have Xerneas get a bit sadder in this form, becoming a part Ghost type, as their horns have broken away, giving into wispy energy that provides life and mega energy to all around it. However, Xerneas is slowly fading away, hence the Ghost type, as it slowly reverts back to the tree cocoon it once was in the form of white petrification. I do wonder in this game if we'll get origin forms similar to Legends Arceus. It doesn't make sense though, the only way we could do it is either follow suit with Zygarde and have percent forms to the two, or they just get Megas, which is the most likely here. Man, imagine the boss fights between these two and you beat their first phase and they Mega Evolve. It's gonna be cool. And then we can have a Zygarde boss battle be that you just fight it at full form and then you have to fight each of the smaller forms as it splits up again and again till you're fighting thousands of 1 HP cells. As I was doing this Xerneas design, I thought it'd be cool if the wisps were actually mega symbols that would slowly move up the energy as they waved about. This would also inform a design decision for Yveltal too. Mega Xerneas, a life Pokemon, a fairy and ghost type. By resonating with a fragment from the tree it sleeps as, Xerneas can Mega Evolve, unleashing the true majesty of life. In this form, Xerneas is constantly emitting life energy from where its antlers once stood. This energy allows other Pokemon to Mega Evolve and can even revitalize those on the brink of death. The drawback to this form is that the energy being transferred away from Xerneas cannot be controlled, and thus Xerneas is slowly losing their own life force and petrifying back into their tree form. If they hold this form for too long, they must return to their tree-like state and rest. Xerneas has a new ability in this form called Gift of Life, where upon fainting, this Pokemon gives another on your team holding a Megastone the ability to Mega Evolve. Yveltal's one is a little less out there, but I still think it's cool nonetheless. If Xerneas comes in and provides all the life and all that, something needs to drain that all away to leave us a husk of our former self. Kinda like how I was feeling after staying up so late for the Pokemon Presents. So this Yveltal is a bit of an X shape with a glowing X core from all the life energy that it's absorbed. Though I guess at this point would be represented as blue, well to me at least. And it's just overall more jagged and spiky and edgy. I mean, original Yveltal is legit just out the edge, in the coolest way possible though. It's quite funny how hard Yveltal's actual head is to design, especially changing it for Megafying. I wonder how Lumiose is going to be in the game for catching Pokemon. Will we only be able to catch Pokemon in the past where it's a more open city with less big buildings and varied terrain? Or will the city actually be explorable fully with climbing on buildings and everything and Pokemon just roam about? The third option is some kind of underground catacombs that has Pokemon living in, but that's a bit dark, isn't it? Strangely enough, it almost feels like the normal Pokemon formula feels more fitting for a city-based game, due to needing less open space for Legends-style movement mechanics, but at the same time, thinking about the World Ends With You style Pokemon game does get me a little bit too keen. Hopefully one day we get one with that similar street punk aesthetic too. Mega Yveltal, the Destruction Pokemon, a Dark and Flying type. By resonating with a fragment from the cocoon it incubated in, Yveltal unleashes its true destructive energy in this form. An aura of dark energy saps life from the land as well as people and Pokemon alike. Yveltal has incredibly sharp rending talons, but in most cases will not use them, instead floating high above and watching people fall from the draining aura. The more powerful it gets, the brighter its body glows and the blue marking begins to shine bright like a beacon. In dire situations, Yveltal can unleash its power like an explosion, causing mass destruction. Yveltal in this form has a new ability called Gift of Destruction, where this Pokemon drains the HP of Pokemon. This effect is increased against Mega Evolved Pokemon. Our final mega of the video and the star of the show is Zygarde, our cell dog snake mech darling. This one was the hardest to do, like each form just feels like a mega from the last anyway. So instead I decided to make the mega an amalgamation of the forms, almost like an Omnimon for Pokemon. A dog head sword arm, a snake head shield arm, with the rest being the robot parts and a mixture of all the others. I wonder if it's going to be like Arceus where Zygarde tells us what's going on, or maybe a single cell is going to be like a comedy relief Pokemon that sits on our shoulder, telling us our objective, which honestly I wouldn't say no to. The fact that Zygarde is an environmental protector and we are rebuilding Lumiose so people and Pokemon makes me think that potentially Zygarde might have done something to the city because it wasn't unified enough or something. Zygarde's always been a cool legendary that never got its limelight. The way the different panels on it glowed ominously, it gave a very Necrozma feeling to it. Now I'm thinking, what if we get some kind of weird construct form for Xerneas and Yveltal for some new forms that would be real weird. Drawing Zygarde is a tad painful. So many hard, angular shapes and random textures everywhere, it's kind of wild. Fun, but wild. I didn't change the typing here, as I honestly feel Dragon Ground for Zygarde is kind of iconic and a weird typing for what it looks like. Mega Zygarde, the Order Pokemon, a Ground and Dragon type. By calling forth cells from everywhere, even ancient dormant cells, Zygarde transforms into this Mega form. It takes on aspects of every form in order to best defend the ecosystem. This form was once seen when Lumiose City had become too imbalanced towards the ways of humans. At that point, Zygarde ravaged the city as a warning to maintain the balance between people and Pokemon. The cells it uses to fire off from attacks are increased in multitudes, causing widespread damage, but Zygarde is capable of avoiding anything that it does not wish to destroy, leaving the landscape still pristine. Zygarde in this form has a new ability called Cell Scatter, where upon fainting, this Pokemon revives at its 10% form. It's exciting being able to kind of work on designs alongside an official mainline game coming out. I only started when Scarvi was already pretty much out and leaked, so expect more videos down the line on this game. More forms and definitely more megas, as I had fun here. So what did you think of the video? Comment your thoughts down below and what you want to see from Legends Zar. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video around. Now I'm going to go have a sleep because I'm still feeling the effects of staying up for that presents.